In the middle of the sea, far from the noise of the world, lies an island that breathes in shadows. Its trees grow like whispers, its rivers curl like smoke, and when the wind moves, the forest listens. This is Madagascar, a dream made of dirt and rain, where roots grow stories and moss remembers. The night is never empty here. It hums, it waits, it holds old names in its leaves. Some say a creature lives there, with fingers too long and eyes too bright. It watches but does not blink. It walks but leaves no sound. They speak of it only in whispers, as if the story itself might be listening. So, if you like stories that walk on the edge of dream and darkness, you're welcome to subscribe. Quietly, like a leaf falling on forest floor. In the forest of 1,000 shapes, one creature does not belong. Not quite monkey, not quite ghost, not quite anything you've ever known. Its steps are crooked, its face unsure, as if even the forest tries to forget it. It has a finger, thin as bone, long as a question no one dares ask. With it, it taps on wood and listens for secrets beneath the skin of trees. Its eyes are yellow moons, wide, wet, watching. They catch your breath before you know you've lost it. They follow, even when you turn away. Its ears move like petals in the wind, twitching, turning, always alert. They hear footsteps you never took, and words you only thought. Its fur is rough and patchy, like it was borrowed from animals who refused to speak of it. Its tail is too big. Its teeth are too sharp. Its whole shape is a riddle wrapped in shadows. At night, it walks the branches like it was born of smoke. It moves between one blink and the next. It disappears like a name you almost remember. The people do not name it, not directly. They call it fady, taboo, cursed, a word not spoken at night. They say if it points its long finger at your chest, your heart forgets to beat. They say you will not see the next moon. They say you will not even dream. A grandmother once told her grandson, "If the tap finds you, don't look back. If it stares, close your eyes and run like the roots run." Some believe it's not a beast, but a sign. Not a threat, but a warning sent by spirits who lost their way. To see it is to be chosen for something you didn't ask to carry. And so they kill it, quickly, before it points, before it blinks, before it knows it has been seen. because fear moves faster than footsteps. But not all run. Some protect it, quietly. They say, what is feared often knows truths the brave cannot face. What if it's not cursed, but misunderstood? What if its finger was never pointing death, but asking, are you listening? Scientists study its hands, its strange way of eating. They say it's a marvel of evolution. They say it adapted. We didn't. But science cannot explain why people still shiver when they hear the tap. So now, when you hear a tap in the dark, will you fear it or follow it? If these quiet mysteries echo in your thoughts, leave a comment. Would you protect what others fear? The forest is not quiet. It only pretends. Leaves whisper, roots sigh, and somewhere beneath all that breath, something listens back. It does not walk in the dark. It is the dark. Slipping between branches, a hush wrapped in fur, a shape the moon forgets to see. It does not crack a twig. It does not rustle a leaf. Its steps are softer than the breath of moss. Even the owls hold their voice when it passes. The trees feel it. They remember the weight of its steps, the press of its fingers, the whisper of its fur brushing their bark. The forest keeps what it's touched. Its long finger taps on bark. 1, 2, 3. Then it waits, ear tilted, heart still, listening for the hollow echo of something hidden. Inside the tree, a sound like squirming, a tiny chorus of blind, buried hunger. The eye smiles, though no one sees it. This is not hunting. It is something older, like prayer or spell. Tap. Listen. Tap again. Not to kill, but to know. The forest answers with silence. But that silence shifts, like something breathing inside a wall. The eye knows where to dig. Its teeth gnaw open a window in the wood. Inside, a meal, yes, but more than that, a story told in sap and silence. Every tree it taps is a library. Every worm it hears a page turned. Its life is made of listening. Scientists track the sound. They call it percussive foraging. But the forest doesn't care for names. It only cares that the rhythm returns. What if silence wasn't emptiness, but language we forgot how to read? The I reads it still, in tap, in stillness, in sound that doesn't speak. To watch it work is to feel time stretch. No panic, no rush. Only patience as wide as the forest. Next time you hear a tap, on a window, a wall, your thoughts, don't be afraid. It might be the forest asking if you're awake. If this stayed with you, leave a like, gently, as if pressing your ear to the bark of a dreaming tree. By the time the leaf falls, it's already vanished. All that remains: a hollow tap, an open bark, a breath held by the woods themselves. At the edge of the forest sits a village made of mud and firelight. The people there do not speak loudly after dark. One night, the wind changed. It blew backward. It smelled of iron and silence. The elders looked toward the trees and lit no lamps. A boy saw it, eyes glowing, body half hidden in the leaves. He blinked, and it was closer. He ran, but the glow followed. The boy came back before sunrise, mud to his knees, shaking. He never spoke again, only listened, even in sleep. An old woman told her daughter, it was not chasing, it was choosing, and it chose him. She placed salt on the doorstep that night. A hunter once said he followed a sound, a soft, steady tap. He thought it was rain, but the sky was dry. He never reached what made the sound. He found footprints, but not the kind he knew. 3 toes, light, too light for the weight that pressed into his chest. Another villager said, when I looked at it, it didn't hide. It stared. And something in me felt known. Some say it's a forest spirit, sent to test hearts. Others say it's the forest itself, looking back. No one says I aloud. They say that one or the finger thing, as if naming it might summon it. A midwife once whispered that every death in the village was preceded by eyes, yellow and still, watching from the banana trees. A man once killed one. He boasted. He laughed. By morning, his house had burned, though no fire had touched it. Scientists came with lights and notes. They saw the eye, tried to catch it, but their camera shattered without cause, and they left before dusk. Some believe its eyes don't just reflect light, they reflect truth. If you see them, you see what you fear most. A girl once followed a turning leaf, twisting through the air as if carried by breath. At the end of its path stood the creature. She never ran. She smiled. She said it reached out, not to point, but to touch her open hand. She dreams clearer now, but never sleeps long. What if we are not the observers? What if we are the mystery in their eyes? The village elder sits with her back to the woods. She says, "When it watches, it teaches. When it points, it remembers who we are." So tell me, what would you do if it stared at you? Would you run? Would you bow? If you'd dare to meet its gaze, tell me in the comments. But whisper. The forest might be listening. Sometimes people say they saw it. Sometimes they only saw leaves, moving without wind. Stillness that pressed like a thought they couldn't finish. In labs, they speak of evolution, of niche and adaptation and dentition. They name it Daubentonia madagascariensis and pin its photo to a page. They say it's a lemur. They say it hunts grubs by sound. They say it is harmless. But science doesn't sleep in villages where no one says its name. They filmed it, measured its ears, recorded its taps, but none of them asked why the air grows heavy when it watches you. What lives in the space between microscope and myth? What grows in the dark between evidence and emotion? Before books, there were stories. Before words, there were feelings too strong to name. The I lives in that place. One man, when he saw it, knelt, not in fear, but in recognition, as if meeting an ancestor of the dark. Not everything unknown is dangerous. Not everything feared should be killed. But when people feel helpless, they build walls from belief. In some tribes, a curse must be broken with blood. So when the eye points, they throw stones, axes, fire, not out of hate, but survival. Yet others, they light herbs, chant words, and leave offerings, because they say it guards the forest's sleep. It holds back what we're not ready to face. Each village, each person makes a choice, to strike or to kneel, to curse or to listen. Perhaps it was never a warning. Perhaps the pointing finger was a question, a gentle feather tap against our certainty. Biology says it eats larvae. Myth says it sees souls. Maybe they're both right. Maybe we're the ones who must choose what we believe it sees. Some truths only glow in the dark, like embers beneath old wood. The eye carries a flame no book can name. So, what do you believe? Is it a cursed finger, a sacred message, a mirror? Tell me below, if you dare speak its name. And if the truth lies somewhere in between, sacred and cursed, beast and sign, then maybe that's where we begin to see clearly. In the fog, on the edge, where meaning hums but never explains. Once, you could hear tapping almost every night. Now, only silence and the leaves and your own breath. The trees still stand, but their bark holds fewer memories. No scratches, no holes, no signs of the old rituals. Just waiting. Some paths in the forest are soft again. No paw has pressed them in years. The moss forgets how it once stepped aside. The maps still show the jungle, but the jungle no longer shows the eye. It hides deeper. Or perhaps it hides from us. When something feared disappears, do we celebrate? But fear is not always the opposite of value. Sometimes what scares us also protects us. What is lost when the night has no watcher? When the forest no longer listens back? Something quiet has gone missing, and now the dark feels thinner. In fearing the eye, we pushed it away. But maybe it was our reflection, in raw, wild form. Now the mirror hangs broken. If you listen closely, can you still hear it? In the walls, in your dreams, in the trees outside? Would you protect what others fear? Tell me in the comments. We waited too long to understand. Now the story tells itself with gaps, with missing names, with blank pages in the bark. But maybe, in some deep root, the tap still echoes, soft, hidden, waiting for someone who listens differently. The fire was low, the walls were quiet, and the child was almost asleep when he heard it. Tap, tap, tap. Not from the door, not from the floor, from the trees. He rose, bare feet on cold clay, eyes still full of dreams, but heart open like a drum. He did not wake his mother. He followed the sound. The moon watched, but said nothing. The trees opened just wide enough for a child-sized truth to pass. Each step was soft, but the forest knew him. The leaves curled toward him. The moss held his footfalls. Even the roots listened. He heard it again, closer, not like knocking, more like asking, not like warning, more like remembering. The child walked a trail no one had ever made, but it was waiting for him, woven from breath and dusk. In a hollow tree, eyes opened, yellow, still, not surprised. The child didn't run. He blinked once and bowed. The creature reached out, not to point, not to curse, but to tap the boy's open palm. Once, twice, 3 times. With each tap, the boy saw things, roots growing like rivers, stars blinking like thoughts, his own breath turning into mist. He stood still, but inside, he walked through dreams, through stories carved into bark, through questions that smiled but never answered. He didn't ask what the creature was. He didn't speak, but something in him understood. Not words, but rhythm. Not facts, but feeling. The creature stepped back. The forest closed, and the child turned, though no one told him to. The path was still there, but now so was he. He returned before dawn. His mother found him sitting on the threshold, eyes open, hands folded. He said only, "I listened." Now, by firelight, his children tell the tale, and their children will too. If you hear the tap, they say, don't fear it. Follow gently and remember. If this story stayed with you, leave a like, softly, like a step in moss. Some say the boy still walks, that when the forest is quiet, you might hear 2 taps, then 1, the signal of someone who listened once and still does. Even when you think you're alone, the forest knows. It remembers your weight, your scent, your shape in the dark. Behind leaves, beneath bark, eyes blink slowly, not in fear, not in hunger, but in thought. The shadows move, but not without meaning. Every rustle has a reason. Every hush holds a name. There are creatures you will never see. They do not call. They do not warn. But they know you passed, and they wonder why. It remembers the first face that screamed at its sight, the first fire lit to keep it away. It remembers, and it forgives nothing. Each tap on a tree echoes through years. Each hole carved holds not just a worm, but history. The forest is a living archive. No one wrote this, but the vines know. The stones know. The roots retell it every time they grow. We call it strange. We call it cursed. But to the eye, we are the strange ones. No fur, no silence, no respect. Sometimes it watches a person and sees nothing new, just another animal, too loud, too fast, too afraid. But sometimes someone pauses, listens, stays still. The eye sees this and leans closer, not to scare, but to study. It learns by watching how rain lands, by how fireflies move, by how we breathe when we're afraid. It needs no words, It needs no school. We search for it, track it, try to understand, but maybe, in its mind, we are the ones it's trying to figure out. We cover the night with lights, the trees with roads. We bury the silence with talk. But the I still hears what we hide. If you walk quietly enough, you might hear a tap not meant for you, but meant for the earth. If this stayed in your chest, leave a like, gently, like laying a leaf on memory. Long after we forget, the bones of the forest remember, the hollows, the taps, the watching, and somewhere in the dark, the I still listens. The night is fading. The sky lightens, but the forest does not sleep. It only shifts from shadow to breath. You may go, but something in you stays behind. Not all journeys are walked with feet. Some are made in silence, in stillness, in the hush between thoughts. You carry this now, this tap, this forest, this creature made of question. If ever you hear a sound, soft, steady, like a fingertip on hollow wood, pause, breathe. Remember the one who asked before it pointed. If this story touched something deep inside you, like a tap on an old, forgotten part of you, press like, softly, and subscribe. Not to follow me, but to walk again under moonlight, in the hush, in the stories that still breathe. Good night, I, watcher in the leaves, question in the bark, reminder in the dark. You are not cursed, you are not forgotten, you are remembered by the ones who listen. Sleep well.